That lady, man, when I was in fucking Boston in '88, I would hear about her.
She loved
and I'd be
comedy.
Like, this one lady did this? Like, yeah, she was married to a comedian, but it didn't work out. And she's Pauly Shore's mom. And I would hear these stories, and I'd be like, well, that's crazy. This one lady just figured it out. And she was wild, and she liked to party, and she liked men, and she was just a wild lady. But she was brutal with you. She didn't like your comedy. She would just tell you.
You were done.
She would just tell you.
If she thought you weren't funny, you were done.
Dude, she put her hand on my wrist, and she goes, you're really funny. And I'll never forget that. Ah, it was like 1994. I was like, oh my God.
Well, she wouldn't hand that out lightly, man. That was the thing. Is like she was like that. I've been around it, man. Like, so it's so weird. I'm so lucky because I got to be around like Ram Dass and Mitzi Shore, and like
they're similar in a way.
Yes,
man.
they are.
They're similar.
Yeah, there's a lot of differences.
You don't like this idea of what we think of as perspective.
Realization.
Yeah, dude.
Mitzi was an artist.
1994, when I was 6 years into comedy, her putting her hand on my wrist and telling me I'm really funny changed my life.
Look, to me, the thing that like will never be captured is that it's not just that here you have this like tiny woman who is tiny, but it's not just that you have this being.
I would be so careful when I would hug her.
Yeah.
Right? Remember hugging Mitzi?
Yeah. Yeah, well, she was a gangster. I mean, that was all like, the thing about Mitzi was like, no, like, imagine like the best thing to think of is like, think of your most like outlaw comedian. Then imagine a person who built a saloon within which those comedians could be grown to be more of an outlaw.
There was no Kennison without Mitzi Shore.
That's right. But then the most, to me, like with Mitzi, if you were to, and she would never allow this, she'd already, if she heard me saying any of this shit, she'd be like, you're fired. But like, if you were going to write a Mitzi Bible, and you wanted to like base the whole Bible on one thing, it was something she told me so many times as a talent coordinator. And I like to fantasize she thought I was funny. But as a talent coordinator, something she told me over and over and over again regarding comedians was, you don't need them. They need you. That was her like core thing, which is like the moment that a comedian starts thinking that they need the system, then they degrade themselves. They have to understand that their comedic ability and who they are as that persona, which she would say is like, they're iconoclasts. She meant like, you're not going to find anyone like this ever again. And that's who she was trying to find. She would say, therefore, it's supply and demand, which is like, there is nothing like you, but there's a lot of things like them. Yeah. So if you think that you need them, you will degrade yourself as an artist. That was her main core truth, which is don't get caught up in the thing they're going to try to teach you, which is you need them. You don't need the manager. You don't need the agent. You don't need the studio. You don't need anything because you are funny. You're the fucking nuclear isotope generating energy. And if you get lost in this insanity that you require the system to be great, not only do you degrade yourself, you degrade an art.
But, you know, this is one of the things about recognizing what Mitzi Shore did, and a lot of Bud Friedman, a lot of people own clubs, Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah.
Is it's not just about the ideas and getting the ideas out in a way the audience can digest. It's setting up a club. It's bringing people in. It's setting a standard where people know, hey, man, David Letterman came out of here. Robin Williams came out of here. Yeah. Okay? Bill Hicks came out. Bill Hicks was a fucking doorman here. Yeah. Sam Kinison came out of here. Okay? Yeah. This is the motherfucking Comedy Store. Yeah. There's a standard. Yeah. And that's a factor too, man. You can't let the artists completely be in control because one charismatic artist with a lot of fucking song and dance moves can trick people into thinking things that aren't necessarily accurate because of charisma.
That's true, man. Like that.
She figured that out, though.
Yeah. And we need another one of her, man. I mean, like, the thing...
You're never going to get another Mitzi. But we can carry on her legacy. We all learned from her. You know, And I think she was uniquely qualified to run the Comedy Store because she wasn't a comic. She had no desire to be a comic, but she was married to a comic, and she knew exactly what comics were. Her son was a comic.
Yeah.
She knew exactly what comics were, and she wasn't stupid. She was smart, and but she also didn't give a fuck.